This is the Woo Report, episode 105. I'm your host, Sam Woo. Today is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the terrorist attacks on our country. And normally on the Woo Report and the Let's Go Devils podcast, we goof around, we talk about Devils hockey, we laugh, we argue. But today, I felt that I'd like to use the platform and remember those on 9/11 and go back in time as we remember those police officers, firemen, emergency responders, strangers, heroes that helped save lives. And let's go back in time, because the reason why I felt that I wanted to do this podcast was not to dwell on the past, but I just realized it's been 20 years. And there's an entire generation that were not born or too young to remember 9/11. And I want to tell my story, tell the story so we will never forget. I wrote a blog about 14 years ago on Hockey Buzz and about 9/11, and I reread it again, and I didn't need to, because I still remember it like it was yesterday. The weekend before 9/11, Tuesday, it was on a Tuesday, but the weekend before was probably one of the best weekends of my life. I was in college. I went to a Devils charity event. I believe it was a softball game sanctioned by the Devils fan club. It was a different time back then. Back then, I was a young college kid. Then afterwards, I went to the Penn State Miami football game in Happy Valley at Penn State. And then the next day, and I feel funny saying this, next game, I joined the men's league, hockey league, and let's just say that there were a lot of fights in that game, a lot of animosity. That tells you, like, back then, there were a lot of petty things that we used to just get angry at. Especially on Monday Night Football when the Giants lost to the Broncos. I remember it very well. I stayed up late that night, and naturally, as a college kid, I always got up very late the next day to head to class. But on that Tuesday morning, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from my mom around 9:30 a.m. Of course, I was still in bed, just like any other college kid. 9 out of 10 times, I probably would have never answered that phone call, but my mom rarely calls me at that hour. And when she did, there's usually I'm in trouble. But that day, I did pick up the phone. Without knowing what was going on, she said, "Sam, I just want you to know I'm okay." And I said, "Okay, what's wrong? Have you been watching the news?" I said, no. She said that airplanes have hit the tower. I just want you to know that I did not go to New York today. My mom, for many years, every Tuesday, went to New York City to go to the corporate office in Midtown. But she usually went through, not through Penn Station, but she always went through Hoboken, take the path like any other commuter, and went through that route because that's where Chinatown is, in Lower Manhattan, before she went off to work. And I said, the planes hitting the towers, what's going on? She said, how much money do you have in your bank account? That's when I knew things were getting serious. I said, why are you asking? She said, the banks are going to close. Withdraw everything you have. If you don't have money, I'll pay you back. I'll get you some. But just get all your cash out now. We don't know what's going on. This was like around 9:30, 9:45 a.m. on a Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. The fear in my mom's voice was, you can hear it through the phone. And back then, just like any other teenager or college kid, didn't really get along with. But on this day, it was real. So of course I turned on the TV like a lot of people. Both towers were smoking. People were jumping out of buildings. There was chaos, absolute chaos. And I thought to myself, what is going on here? This isn't right. And then I started to realize my friends. I was a senior in college. I don't talk about this too often, but sometimes there's a sense of guilt that the friends that worked hard in school, got their degrees on May or June of 2001. And I had a lot of friends that worked in the financial sector, getting their first jobs. The economy was somewhat in a recession. Getting jobs were tough, but the ones that got the jobs were lucky, as I thought. And now many of them are running for their lives out of these buildings. And as the day progressed, it just got worse. The Pentagon, something in Shanksville, the towers falling, collapsing. And what about those people? What about those innocent people that were just going about their day on a beautiful day? It was actually the weather-wise, it was actually a beautiful day. And then it dawned on me. And then, I had a friend that said, hey, I can't get through to my brother. I can't get through to my brother. I don't know what's going on. All circuits are busy. If anybody remembers living in New Jersey and New York, all circuits are busy. But you kept dialing. and dialing. Back then, we had the internet, but we didn't have the smartphones that we had today. And that was what we did. We just kept dialing and dialing. Cell phones were jammed. So I decided I was going to help him find his brother. So the first thing I did what I was told. Go to the ATM machine and empty out your bank account as much as you can. So I went to the bank. The banks were closed. Just closed. Didn't have much money back then, but I emptied out my account. I remember every radio station had the emergency alert system go off. It was always a test. You know that test that they always do periodically, that annoying beep? I'll never forget it. Every radio station had that go off. You go to 880 AM, 660, a station that you never heard of. A lot of them were simulcasting the news. This was serious. This was serious. Giving information to people to get out, where to get help. So my friend and I decided to try to find his brother. And we knew that we had to be careful, because I remember the fear. We just did not know what was going on, whether we were going to get attacked again. So we decided to try to get in the city. Good luck with that, but we tried. We got as far, we took 78 East. We got as far as the main toll booth near Jersey City. I'll never forget this. Each toll booth had a police officer, a New Jersey State trooper, guarding it. Each lane had a state trooper, and think about this, guarding the toll booths, armed with, a large gun of some sort. I don't know, a rifle. I don't know. I don't know anything about guns. With patrol cars also blocking, New Jersey State Police patrol cars, and 2 tanks, 2 armored tanks pointed in the other direction. Nobody was getting into the city. Nobody. And I will never forget that. I will never forget that. And then later we found that my friend's brother, who worked on the first floor or second floor of World Trade Center, I don't know which tower, found his way out and stayed at someone's apartment or house in Hoboken. But obviously back then, it's not like today how we are so connected. We found out later that evening that he was okay. But I would never forget seeing a tank on Route 78 pointed at those trying to get into the city. And as the day ended, if you remember, President Bush, put out a speech, and then I don't know about you, but I don't think many people were sleeping that night. But what followed is something that I would never forget. Again, when I started off this podcast, and I was toying about if I really should be doing this, but I think it's important to remember this, and this is why I did this podcast, doing this podcast about 9/11, remembering, is that there is a whole generation out there that never really lived through it, or they were too young to understand it at the time. What happened after 9/11 was something I'll never forget, and it still gives me hope. In today's political climate, our country is divided. But after 9/11, what followed was something that was special, a people coming together. People became nicer. Think about it. Remember, I was talking all the pettiness, all the stupid things that you worried about pre 9/11. I got in a hockey fight. I was out having a great time at the Devils softball match. College is about to end. Man, that college football game, we lost. I was really mad that we did. All that stuff didn't matter. And then suddenly, on September 12th, you saw the American flags come out. You saw a country that became united. And then you started hearing stories. Now, people that know me know that I'm a pretty, diehard Devils fan. You don't like the Rangers, you don't like the Flyers. But, when I heard that Mark Messier and several of the New York Rangers were nearby, all that pettiness, things that don't matter, that went out the window. You were praying that, wow, I'm so happy they got away. And they're safe. But the country started to come together as we started to hear about stories like Todd Beamer. I believe he's from Cranberry, New Jersey. And his wife, Lisa, saying his last words were, "Let's roll." Taking down that plane, Flight 93. The USA chants. And I'll get to that later, but the USA chants started to, you would hear it in the streets, wherever you walked. If somebody had a large American flag. But I'll never forget this, as we were all coming together. That Friday, I had a hockey game. I will never forget this because that's where it really started to hit home. I remember having a spreadsheet of people that we knew that worked in the city and a dry erase board crossing off those that we were marked safe. This is before Facebook, marked safe, all that. And I remember just going through the list, people that you didn't really get along with, now suddenly you're worried for them. And how stupid the pettiness of why you didn't like them, where now suddenly you are on their side. But I'll never forget this. That Friday, going to that hockey game, and if my memory serves me correct, there were playoff implications because it was the same team we played that Sunday before, where it got really nasty. Like, really, this is like beer league hockey nasty. And we were trying to get first place because there were playoff implications. And I know that sounds kind of petty, but I remember going to that game. I didn't want to play, but you already paid for it. It's on the schedule. And we walked in, and on the dry erase board in the locker room, game is canceled. The reason? Their teammates were missing. Their teammates were missing. And I feel bad. Because that Sunday before we were playing the game we loved, and now they're missing. And the family's still searching for them. And that really hit home. Again, remember when I was saying all that pettiness? So, as a team, we decided we weren't going to take the forfeit. We asked the league to have it be a tie so that team could be in first place because we knew that they were hurting. But that really hit home because it's just not fair. Life isn't fair. These people didn't do anything to deserve what happened. I think I eventually found out that I think two of them passed away, if my memory serves me correct. But after 9/11, we started to come together as a country. I'll remember the preseason game that followed with the New Jersey Devils. All the rink, normally you have advertisements on the boards, were all American flags. All American flags. And we were coming together. I believe it was a Devils Rangers game, believe it or not, preseason game. I believe so. And I remember tailgating at Old Meadowlands in the parking lot that game, preseason game, playing patriotic songs. And, you know, we had to get some normalcy, try to move forward. But it was hard because anytime you went to the Meadowlands, Continental Airlines Arena, you would always see the Twin Towers. And it's gone. Even to this day, I still look at the skyline hoping that this was a dream. And as you look at One World Trade that stands, it's just for a lot of us, it's still a reminder. I still can't believe the towers are gone at World Trade Center. But what followed was Arlette singing the national anthem, her passionate voice, And after hearing that, I felt things were going to be okay. Again, all the pettiness. And realize I'm a big sports guy. You know, in 2001, the Giants lost the Super Bowl, the Devils lost Stanley Cup Finals. All that stuff went away. And as I end this podcast, there's a couple things, observations that I want to share with you, some lessons of 9/11 that mean a lot to me because, like I said, September 12th, we were all Americans. It didn't matter whether you're white, black, Asian, Latino, gay, straight. We all loved each other. Do you know why? Because we were all colorblind on September 12th, and it was all about the red, white, and blue. Think about it. We were all colorblind. It didn't matter. Those that lived it would understand that we were nicer to each other. We were more courteous because all those things pre 9/11, the petty stuff didn't matter anymore. And I will say that it's meaningful because a multiracial society, for it to flourish and be peaceful, we do have to be colorblind. All those differences didn't matter. And we as a nation, we did that. But I don't think it should take a tragedy like 9/11 to have that happen. I think we should start doing that now and be just kinder to each other. As I end this podcast, I want to talk about my friend Arlette. She sings the national anthem at our New Jersey Devils games. A beautiful person, a beautiful personality, always positive, somebody that kids can look up to. I always tell her that you, Arlette, are the epitome of the American dream. You're an immigrant from Trinidad, worked your butt off to get a college education, but also living your passion and your dreams as a professional singer. Here's this woman that comes to the United States from a small island in the Caribbean, living the American dream, suddenly gets discovered by then Devils GM Lou Lamoriello, who basically told her, I'm part of this hockey organization, come sing for us, and now is beloved by New Jersey Devils fans, not only with her voice, but her passion for life. She is the American dream, an example of it. And as I end this podcast, she wrote a song called My America, and we're going to end it with her song. You can find her song on YouTube, and anybody that has Apple Music, type in Arlette and listen to her renditions of America the Beautiful and the national anthem. Not only is her voice beautiful, but it hits an emotion that makes you appreciate our country a whole lot more, and the freedoms that we have, that men and women of the armed forces fought for. And I like to thank the men and women of the armed forces and police officers, firemen, emergency responders. Fred Rogers once said, and I'm going to summarize, don't focus on these bad people, focus on the people that are helping the people get out of those buildings and helping them. On that note, this is Arlette singing My America.
Woke up on a bright September day, and I watched the sunshine slowly slip away, and my world crumbled before my very eyes, and the smoke of 1,000 souls filled the skies. From the cities to the hills and countryside. So I sing this song for you, America. Though your heart was torn in two, America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. The days went by, the sun came out again, and the stranger on the street became my friend. Joined together by pain and fear and pride, and a love for this land that could not be denied. For the families of all the ones who died, I sing this song for you, America. Though your heart was torn in two, America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. My America, I sing this song for you, America, from a heart that's torn in two, America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. My America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. Now you're stronger than before, and I love you so much more.